Hi everyone, this is Paolo Tarantino. I'm a breast medical oncologist currently working as a research fellow at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and it's a real pleasure to have the opportunity to highlight one of the trials we have activated recently at Dana-Farber, and which I had the pleasure to work on with Sarah Simmons. And this trial is called DATO-Base, and it's a phase 2 trial of datopotamab deruxtecan for breast cancer brain metastasis. And so let's look a little bit at what is this drug that we're testing in the trial and how is the schema and the design of this trial. So the drug that we're testing in this new study is called datopotamab deruxtecan. In short, we also call it Dato-DXd. And basically, it has two names because it's composed of two key parts. The datopotamab part is actually an antibody that binds to TROP2. And TROP2 is a protein that is highly expressed by most breast cancer, also on brain metastasis. There is demonstrated expression both by breast tumors, metastasis of breast tumors, and brain metastasis. And so the idea is that this antibody can be injected, enrich, and bind to a tumor. And then linked to this antibody, we have the deruxtecan part. And this is basically a chemotherapy. And by linking this chemotherapy to the antibody, we hope to do two main things. One is to make it selective and highly active, so to deliver the chemotherapy in a more effective way to the tumor, but also to have less delivery of the chemotherapy to normal cells in the body, and so to make it better tolerated. In between the antibody and the chemotherapy, there is a linker. And the linker is also very important because it determines how much of the chemotherapy is shed from the antibody and where in the body it is shed. So this drug, Dato-DXd, was already tested in a phase 3 trial that demonstrated that Dato-DXd is better than traditional chemotherapy for treating patients with hormone receptor positive HER2 negative breast cancer. But this trial, called TROPION-Breast01, did not include patients with active brain metastasis, meaning brain metastasis that have been recently diagnosed and never treated, or that they were treated with radiation treatment and they progressed. And this is the rationale to develop another trial that we called a DATO-Base. And basically, in this trial, it's a single-arm trial. So all the patients get the drug, there is no placebo, and the drug is given as an infusion every 3 weeks. It's given alone without any combination drug. It's only given also with some prophylactic drug to avoid nausea and infusion reaction. And the patient that can receive this drug need to have a diagnosis of invasive breast cancer that is metastatic, to have active brain metastases, as I was mentioning, recently diagnosed, not treated, or with progression after prior local treatment. There needs to be measurable disease, meaning that we can track it on the scans to understand if the drug is working. And there is basically three main cohorts or groups of patients that can be included in this trial. Patients that have hormone receptor positive and HER2 negative breast cancer. There is a larger subgroup of patients. And before we enroll, patients need to have received at least one line of endocrine treatment that is current standard. The second group is patients that have triple negative breast cancer, and they can have received up to as many lines of treatment that you want. It's a very broad trial, or also no treatment. It's very, very broad. Patient can be enrolled based on this trial based on any prior lines of treatment. Finally, there is an important cohort that is that of patients with leptomeningeal metastasis. And these are these are presentation of breast cancer for which really we have not tested enough treatment options. We have not developed enough treatment options. And so we are glad to now have a trial focusing on this subgroup of patients. And in general, the primary endpoint of this trial is to understand what is the efficacy of datopotamab deruxtecan in terms of intracranial response rate. So if we're able to shrink the metastasis in patients that have active brain metastasis from breast cancer, and of course, we will also track the safety of the drug, and there is already some data suggesting that actually this drug is associated with less side effect in terms of traditional side effects compared to chemotherapy. And the main side effect that we see usually is mucositis, meaning an inflammation of the mouth. And also you can see some neutropenia, some reduction in blood count, and some fatigue. And rarely you have some other side effects such as interstitial lung disease, infusion reactions, but in general, it seems to be a safe drug. And also, as I mentioned, seems to be more effective than traditional chemotherapy. So we are excited to have this option for our patients.